Hi, this is Adekyn with another Grand Ages Rome campaign mission video. This is the fall of Spartacus, part one of two parts. We'll be doing this one. And we're starting this one well into the build. We've already built two actually basic communities, and our strategy here is to go with war elephants. We have the Tribune of the Plebes value or talent rather at this point, and we're going to use the power of that to create a whole bunch of goods, and rather than trading them off because they give you so much denarii at the beginning of this one, we're going to use it to draft an army of war elephants. So we're going to have our one drafted Hastati squad. We're going to end up with 3 war elephants and Nubian warriors to support them, and basically take advantage of all that starting money and go ahead and get that army in place in a hurry. And we will then build up our religion so that religion is our main source of income going forward. So basically we've got a 2 community start to our build, and up here we're actually send our Astadi up here and build an outpost, and we're going to use slaves to mine some iron, but it turns out that it really didn't mean much because I decided not to use conventional Roman troops for this one, other than the drafted Hastati, and also the trade routes turned out to be disappointing, so there wasn't really anything to trade. Interestingly enough, I kind of forgot who I was. I forgot I was a Valerius and had some open trade routes. So I could have done some land trade and maybe made some money that way, but no matter, there's so much money to start this one. I'd like to see this one redone and give you less money to start. But at any rate, we're just going to go ahead and develop our community. Our strategy is going to be kind of our sort of, I guess I'm falling into a pattern here. Typical military strategy is a combination of forts at choke points plus a strong army. So we're going to just watch for the troop movement, watch for the indications that there are troop movements on the map, see where they're coming from, and see where we need to set up forts to intercept those troops, and use the forts for defense, and then use our army as an offensive army and go out and take down the enemy barbarian villages. There's 4 of them around the map, and we're going to take them down one at a time, of course, as we march our way around the map. But we do want to have good defense set up, because one of the challenges with this one would be if you tried to move your army back and forth to match all the troop movements, you could probably drive yourself crazy. So you're going to have to develop a defense somewhere to protect at least one flank, and I suggest protecting any place you think the military is going to be, any place your base basically is going to be attacked. So you saw some troop movement there. A couple of troops were coming toward us, and we're just kind of watching them to see which way they're going to come. And in the meantime, we set up a camp so we could train faster, and we're going to start training. So it looks like they're going to go up and take, let's call it the northern route, up there near where the other camp is that has 2 defenders, 2 attackers. In fact, each of these camps had 2 defenders, 2 attackers. So each one of them has 4 squads that we'll have to deal with. I also decided here to go over and just see what kind of trade there was via sea. So I built another little community over here to support the sea trade. And you can see I'm just starting that with the fountain, and we'll put in the kind of a prefecture, butcher, baker, inn, tavern, and build a couple of ports with all the equites to match to support that, and see what we can do with trade. And I can tell you that it turns out it wasn't much, wasn't a whole lot that we could trade, given that we're using up all our goods on war elephants. And that's the advantage to that, using goods on war elephants with the African auxilia, is that the war elephants are just they're just hard to beat. They really are the most powerful unit in the game. But of course, you're using up we end up with 3 squads of elephants. Right there is 96 goods that we're tying up and supporting those elephants, and that's 96 goods we can't trade to make profit. So you got to make sure we build up our religion to give us the profit. So we see that we've got an attack coming from the south down there from that one. So here's how we handle that. We just build a nice little compact fort here with a lot of towers, and that fort is going to basically be all we need over there, because what will happen is the troops will come up as they start getting shot at by those towers. That will engage them in a battle. They will no doubt lose the battle, and they'll have to go back and start over from their home base. So basically that takes care of our southern flank with that one fort. And obviously, and I want to stress this, when I did the build, I made sure that my build, the two communities took in the stone that was nearby. So the one stone that you start with down here near your initial starting position, and then I built that second community up to make sure it was far enough up to the north. I'm calling it north just to up on the map, so that up there we get the two stone mines up there as well. You could also jump out there and get them with slaves if you wanted to, but I wanted to go ahead and get them with insulating, maximize the production. So basically, if you're going to use a military strategy of combo of squads and towers, make sure you have denarii, make sure you have stone. We've said that in other videos, but that's the key: having a strong economy to support your military, and to have the sufficient quantities of stone to be able to build your towers. So now you can see those troops are coming up. They'll get engaged by the towers and won't have a chance. So we're going ahead and building our little port out, and we're doing that while we're gathering up our troops and getting them all drafted. And of course, this, like all military missions, you can kind of decide how much do I feel like building. And a lot of times it'll just come down to how much time do you want to spend on building versus watching your military. If you have a fairly tough battles, that come along fairly often, it's hard to do a ton of building. You can be a good multitasker, but there's a point where you just get tired of bouncing back and forth between the buildings and your battles. So it sort of limits how much you build. And plus, you only need so much. Once you have adequate troops, you really are done as far as, accomplishing what you need. Now, a secondary objective on this particular mission is to have no more than 5 squads. So win it with no more than 5 squads. And that's one of the reasons I like the war elephant approach, because if you're going to have 5 squads, why not have 3 of them be war elephants? So now you can see we're up to 3 war elephants and an astati. And what we're going to do because now there's 6 troops up there, just to the right of those where we're building these towers. There's that one camp, and then those initial troops that started marching toward us have set up a camp there, right there on the right of our screen. So there's actually 6 troops for us to defeat. So just to be certain, and also to create a defensive choke point, and while we're away killing off the villages, we're going to set up a tower to protect that approach to our city as well. And you notice again, I don't particularly care for the strategy of trying to wall in the entire city. It may look good, but it's really hard to do, and it does limit your building and just kind of cramps your whole thing. I prefer to leave my cities open to build, and then build forts at the choke points. And you'll notice there I'm building a carpenter. And I did it at both forts. You can build carpenters as long as their influence reaches out to all those towers. If the enemy attacks the towers and knocks them partway down, the carpenter will gradually bring them back up to 100%. So you basically, they will repair your towers, and they'll repair any buildings that happen to have degraded any, but it's especially useful for towers. So anytime you build a fort near your housing, go ahead and build a carpenter to keep them up in good shape. So now we're starting our attack, and what we're trying to do is draw those 2 troops out and kind of pull them toward our towers so that we have support. We won't have any trouble defeating them, of course, with the 3 war elephants, but still, it's nice to have those towers there. And we're going to go ahead and just make sure we gather up all 5 of our squads and go ahead down and start the process of attacking all these other barbarian villages and taking them out. And I've said in other videos I like to go from weakest to strongest on the villages so that my troops are gaining experience, but here I really do have superior troops because of these war elephants, so I'm just going to take the one closest to me. Plus I don't want to have those, there's actually 2 gladiator squads, 2 secutaries here, and that's pretty strong troops. I don't want to get into any kind of worrying about them attacking me or anything like that. So we'll continue this on part 2.